Question let about professional education part 38. Question number 1. The school nurse taps James' shoulder before giving him a vaccine. After several visits, James becomes fearful every time someone taps his shoulder, even without an injection. What theory explains this learning process? Letter A. Operant conditioning. Letter B. Classical conditioning. Letter C. Social learning theory. Letter D. Insight learning. The correct answer is letter B. Classical conditioning. It is a type of learning in which a neutral stimulus or NS becomes associated with an unconditioned stimulus or UCS to elicit a conditioned response or CR. This concept was first studied by Ivan Pavlov, a Russian physiologist, through his experiments with dogs. In this scenario, James initially does not fear a tap on the shoulder, which is neutral stimulus. The vaccine injection naturally causes fear, serving as the unconditioned stimulus and producing an unconditioned response of fear. After repeated pairings of the tap with the injection, James begins to feel fear from the tap alone. The tap has now become a conditioned stimulus and the fear it elicits is the conditioned response. Question number 2. After months of the principal shouting during drills, Lenny begins to feel scared whenever she sees him approaching, even before he says anything. Which element of classical conditioning best describes the fear Lenny feels in this situation? Letter A. Unconditioned response. Letter B. Neutral stimulus. Letter C. Unconditioned stimulus. Letter D. Conditioned response. The correct answer is letter D. Conditioned response or CR. In classical conditioning, a conditioned response is a learned reaction to a stimulus that was originally neutral. In this case, the principal's presence was initially neutral, while his shouting during drills naturally caused fear, producing an unconditioned response or UR. After repeated pairings, the principal's presence became a conditioned stimulus or CS, which is triggering fear on its own. The fear Lenny feels when she sees him is therefore a conditioned response or CR, showing how a neutral stimulus can come to elicit a learned emotional reaction. Question number 3. In the canteen, the smell of freshly cooked food instantly makes students hungry, even if they have not seen the food yet. Their hunger happens naturally and automatically the moment the aroma reaches them. What is the smell of food in this case? Letter A. Unconditioned stimulus. Letter B. Conditioned stimulus. Letter C. Neutral stimulus. Letter D. Conditioned response. The correct answer is letter A. Unconditioned stimulus. An unconditioned stimulus or UCS is something that naturally and automatically triggers a response without any learning or training. In this situation, the smell of freshly cooked food naturally causes students to feel hungry. They do not need to be taught to react this way, but the body automatically responds. Because the hunger happens instantly and without conditioning, the smell of food is correctly identified as the unconditioned stimulus. Question number 4. Teacher Carlo uses a small bell to start classes. After many weeks of ringing the bell before beginning lessons, students automatically quiet down when they hear it. What is the bell after conditioning? Letter A. Unconditioned stimulus. Letter B. Neutral stimulus. Letter C. Unconditioned response. Letter D. Conditioned stimulus. The correct answer is letter D. A conditioned stimulus or CS. It is a previously neutral object or sound that gains meaning after being repeatedly paired with an unconditioned or significant event. In this scenario, the bell originally had no special effect on the students, it was just a sound. However, after teacher Carlo consistently rang the bell before starting class, students learned to associate the bell with the need to become quiet. Because the bell now triggers the learned response of quieting down, the whole class has transformed into a conditioned stimulus. Question number 5. A new science teacher brings a whistle to class. At first, when she blows the whistle, it has no special meaning to students, and they ignore it completely. What is the whistle at this stage? Letter A. Conditioned stimulus. Letter B. Neutral stimulus. Letter C. Unconditioned stimulus. Letter D. Conditioned response. The correct answer is letter B. Neutral stimulus or NS. It is any object, sound, or event that does not naturally trigger any automatic response before learning occurs. In this scenario, the whistle has no meaning to the students when the science teacher first uses it. They do not react, feel anything, or show any automatic behavior when they hear it. Because the whistle does not produce any response yet, its functions is a neutral stimulus at this stage. Question number 6. When the classroom door slams loudly due to the wind, several students immediately jolt in surprise. What is this jolting? Letter A. Conditioned stimulus. Letter B. Neutral stimulus. Letter C. Unconditioned response. Letter D. Conditioned response. The correct answer is letter C. Unconditioned response or UCR. It is a natural, automatic reaction that happens without learning or training. In this situation, the student's sudden jolt in surprise occurs instantly the moment they hear the loud slam of the door. They did not learn this behavior, it is a built-in reflex triggered by a sudden, startling sound. Because the reaction is automatic, unlearned, and naturally occurring, the jolting is correctly identified as an unconditioned response. Question number 7. A dog was trained to salivate whenever it heard a bell because it predicted feeding time. After several repetitions of ringing the bell without giving food, the dog stopped salivating. A few days later the bell rings again, and the dog salivates immediately. What concept of classical conditioning does this scenario illustrate? Letter A. Spontaneous recovery. Letter B. Extinction. Letter C. Stimulus discrimination. Letter D. Stimulus generalization. The correct answer is letter A. Spontaneous recovery. It is a phenomenon in classical conditioning where a previously extinguished conditioned response suddenly reappears after a rest period, even without further reinforcement. In this case, the dog had stopped salivating after repeated bell rings without food, showing that the conditioned response had been extinguished. However, a few days later, when the bell rings again, the dog salivates immediately. This demonstrates spontaneous recovery, because the extinguished response, which is salivation, returned after a period of no exposure to the conditioned stimulus, which is bell. Question number 8. During class, teacher Liza always claps twice before giving a quiz, causing students to feel nervous. Later, another teacher claps once. The students do not show any nervous reaction. Which conditioned response concept applies to this situation? Letter A. Stimulus generalization. Letter B. Stimulus discrimination. Letter C. Extinction. Letter D. Spontaneous recovery. The correct answer is letter B. Stimulus discrimination. It is the ability to respond only to the specific conditioned stimulus while ignoring other similar but different stimuli. The students feel nervous only when teacher Liza claps twice, the cue paired with quizzes. When another teacher claps once, they do not react because it is not the exact conditioned stimulus, showing clear stimulus discrimination. Question number 9. During art class, the teacher always plays a specific tune to signal cleanup time. Students learn to clean up immediately when they hear it. One day, a different but similar tune plays, and students still start cleaning. What concept is this? Letter A. Stimulus discrimination. Letter B. Spontaneous recovery. Letter C. Stimulus generalization. Letter D. Extinction. The correct answer is letter C. Stimulus generalization. It occurs when a learned response is triggered by stimuli that are similar to the original conditioned stimulus, even if they are not exactly the same. Students were trained to clean up when they heard a specific tune. When a different but similar tune plays and they still clean up, it shows they generalized their response to sounds that resemble the original cue. This demonstrates stimulus generalization because the new tune was close enough for the learned behavior to occur. Question number 10. During class, teacher Liza rings a small bell every time she gives chocolates to students. Over time, the students get excited whenever they hear the bell. After several days, she stops giving chocolates but continues ringing the bell. Gradually, the students stop showing excitement when the bell rings. What concept of classical conditioning does this scenario illustrate? Letter A. Extinction. Letter B. Stimulus discrimination. Letter C. Stimulus generalization. Letter D. Spontaneous recovery. The correct answer is letter A. Extinction. In classical conditioning happens when the conditioned stimulus or CS is repeatedly presented without the unconditioned stimulus or UCS, causing the learned response to gradually weaken and eventually disappear. The bell, which is conditioned stimulus or CS, was originally paired with chocolates unconditioned stimulus or UCS, making students excited, which is conditioned response or CR. When teacher Liza stops giving chocolates but continues ringing the bell, the excitement slowly fades. This decline of the learned response shows extinction, because the conditioned response is the excitement which will disappear when reinforcement is removed. Thank you for watching.